Hey, folks, what's better than fudge? Fudge with CBD. That's right. Sunset Lake CBD have a blended full spectrum CBD oil from their hemp crop, and they have mixed it in with delicious, really delicious chocolate fudge. There are 12 pieces of fudge, 25 meg of CBD per piece. It is, I can personally attest that it is both delicious and then gives you like a relaxing, I don't know, it takes about half an hour. The problem I have, of course, is that I have a bit of a sweet tooth, so I can't avoid eating multiple pieces of the fudge. And they sent me 2 packets. It was a huge mistake. I don't know what to do, really. But the fudge is delicious. All of their CBD products are awesome. SunsetLakeCBD.com. They have smokables. They have tincture. They have gummy bears. They have CBD-infused coffee beans, all sorts of smokables. And they have the Arnica CBD muscle salve, if you will. Matt, speak to the smokables. We were all CBD skeptics, folks, but Sunset Lake CBD, their product is amazing. They're a great company in terms of business practices, $15 minimum wage, mostly employee-owned company. Their farming practices are awesome, 100% pesticide-free. They use integrated pest management, regenerative farming practices in conjunction with the University of Vermont. But, Matt, speak to their smokables.
Yeah, the pre-rolls are cool, but I think the smokers will really appreciate their smalls line, which are already sort of pre-stemmed buds that you can put right in your grinder. So check out the smalls line.
For the more rookies, I have to say I like the pre-rolls. I'm a little bit more of a rookie on that. But however way you go, you will be surprised what CBD can do when it's done right. And also, like I say, this is a great company. They're up in Vermont, and literally one of the big things on my bucket list when all of this pandemic is over is I'm heading up to Burlington and checking out. They're a great company, SunsetLakeCBD.com. And fans of the show, the coupon code left is best, one word, left is best. You get 20% off your CBD products. SunsetLakeCBD.com, left is best, 20% off. Let's start the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, February 5th, 2021. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Heather Parton, or Digby, will be joining us on this Casual Friday, as will comedian David Feldman. As such, I'm wearing my soft-collared shirt to prepare. Meanwhile, at 5:30 a.m. this morning, the Senate passed a budget bill which allows it to now write a COVID relief bill, which will go through committee and then come back for a vote sometime in early to mid-March. The House, meanwhile, throws Marjorie Taylor Greene from her 2 committee assignments while she assures the nation 9/11 did, in fact, happen. Biden approval rate at 61%. That includes 25% of Republicans. Meanwhile, 64% of Republican voters say they would join a Trump third party. speaking of Trump, he turns down an invitation to testify at his impeachment trial, which is starting in just 3 days. New unemployed at nearly 800,000. The economy added only 49,000 jobs last week. Meanwhile, Johnson & Johnson asked the FDA to approve its single dose, and the first single dose, I believe, COVID vaccine. Meanwhile, booster shots are being investigated to deal with mutations. Biden ends offensive support for Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen, but many questions remain. ICE cancels its West African deportation flight amid charges of abuse of immigrants. Smartmatic is suing Fox, Giuliani, and Sidney Powell for $2.7 billion. Lumenauer AOC Sanders introduced a bill calling on Biden to declare a national climate emergency. And lastly, a House committee reports that baby food may be riddled with toxic metals. All this and more on today's program. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us at the end of this week as we begin to settle into a different era. The Biden presidency, of course, we still have some loose ends, don't we, Emma Vigeland, that we will be dealing with next week in terms of Donald Trump's, final, not act in office, but final act of office, which is to face trial in the Senate over his impeachment.
Yes, but we will always have Marjorie Taylor Greene to remind us what the downstream of Trumpism turns into.
Or, I mean, that is really the question, though. Is that the downstream from Trumpism, or is that the upstream from Republicanism? I mean, and forgive me, I cannot remember who posted this on Twitter, but they played a clip of a woman named Orly Tates. I don't know if you remember that name.
If I heard it, I think I would remember Orly Tates.
Orly Tates was a woman who was essentially the Marjorie Taylor Greene of the 2007-2008 cycle, who had evidence that Barack Obama was in fact not born in this country, had dug deep into the entire conspiracy around how they manipulated the birth certificate and how, the Hawaii birth certificate department had put out fake. To watch this and remember, like, this is all, it literally, and it's been going like this for 20 some odd years, maybe more. I mean, really more, because I remember when Rush Limbaugh, who, as we all know, just recently was awarded the U.S. Medal of Freedom, I believe it was, 30 years ago, was talking about the murder committed by the Clintons personally and dragging a body into a park, making it look like a suicide. And really what we have seen with the Republican Party is it cycling around, and just each time it cycles, it just moves forward a little bit further on the bat crap crazy scale. And each time it moves forward, and see that it's leaving the screen now as I move my fingers. Each time it moves forward, the intensity of the craziness and the breadth in terms of how many people in the Republican Party share that craziness grows. And I think, are at we have hit critical mass, or what do they call it? Velocity speed? What do they call that? Do you guys know?
No.
Terminal velocity.
Terminal velocity. There you go.
Yes. And I think that's where we are now with the Republican Party. And I think, the idea that Marjorie Taylor Greene, in her I want to say it's a mea culpa speech, but I don't think she got that far in terms of, I think it was just a Mia speech. She basically, she assured everyone that, in fact, just sort of randomly, 9/11 did happen, which leads me to believe that there was probably some 9/11 truther stuff that has yet to be dug up about her.
There is, Sam. I mean, she said it on camera on like a Facebook Live that she wondered where the plane went when it was going to the Pentagon, where it disappeared to.
Can I just say, go ahead, Emma.
No, she was very careful with her words, saying 9/11 did happen.
Oh, it's a bit annoying we have to talk about 9/11 when half the GOP believes in the conspiracy theory that Biden overturned a landslide.
Right.
Well, I guess, talking about 9/11 does remind us every year the Republicans try to block health care to the first responders who now are facing massive health issues due to 9/11, yet they use it as a cudgel all the time. Like, it's weird, Ilhan Omar apparently is an apologist for 9/11, but the conspiracy theorists in their caucus who denies that maybe there even was a plane that was headed towards the Pentagon and killed a lot of people, she's totally fine. Kevin McCarthy says he's trying to it's a big tent in the Republican Party, right? You have regular fascists, and then someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose brain is somewhere on Jupiter, something like that. So it's a big tent.
Well, let's play this clip of leaving the Republicans for a moment. This is has the potential to be really important. This is a very good first step, but we need to see what this actually means for the Biden administration. As most people know, since the Obama administration, we have been supporting the Saudi assault, war, bombing campaign, genocide on Yemen. And it has created the worst humanitarian catastrophe, certainly in the world now, but maybe for decades. Joe Biden had this announcement to make yesterday.
Today, I'm announcing additional steps to course correct our foreign policy and better unite our democratic values with our diplomatic leadership. To begin, Defense Secretary Austin will be leading a global posture review of our forces so that our military footprint is appropriately aligned with our foreign policy and national security priorities. It will be coordinated across all elements of our national security, with Secretary Austin and Secretary Blinken working in close cooperation. And while this review is taking place, we'll be stopping any planned troop withdrawals from Germany. We're also stepping up our diplomacy to end the war in Yemen, a war which has created a humanitarian and strategic catastrophe. I've asked my Middle East team to ensure our support for the United Nations-led initiative to impose a ceasefire, open humanitarian challenge, and restore long-dormant peace talks. This morning, Secretary Blinken appointed Tim Lenderking, a career foreign policy officer, as our special envoy to the Yemen conflict, and I appreciate his doing this. Tim has lifelong experience in the region, and he'll work with the UN.
So the point being is that we're supposedly pulling back on our support that has been enabling Saudi Arabia's attacks on Yemen. We are sending an envoy there that is supposedly means we're actually leaning in some way with an agenda to end this conflict. It remains to be seen, but this is one of those situations where, like, this is a necessary step.
Yes,
to go to that place. It doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to get to that place, but it's a necessary step.
Well, I was more optimistic when I heard about this than when I did a little bit more digging and I thought about it a little bit longer. A lot of what Biden used in terms of his language was, we are going to end our support for offensive operations in Yemen, which basically means we're going to stop the arming them in the active conflict. But he also said we're going to still support their defense of the border from Houthi rebels. Now, obviously, the Saudis were the aggressor in the initial conflict.